Wake up in a panic, we're in over our heads again. We know this is what we're meant to do. So we wake up, put our feet on the floor, go and conquer the day like a warrior, like warriors. 'Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life. That's right, that's right. No need to panic anymore. We got lots of support and an army of warriors by our side. We fight the good fight when we unite. We fight the good fight when we unite. 'Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life. That's right. This is our tribe.
Right. Hello, YouTube and Facebook fans. We are back again. This is the Coffee Shop Conversation Show, where we bring entrepreneurs from around the world together to have a conversation around a topic that we are all battling with or that we need to learn more on. So last couple of weeks, I've been noticing a lot that we as entrepreneurs tend to take processes. We shove processes into our business. It's meant to make our lives a whole lot, and we tend to overcomplicate our lives. We automate things that probably shouldn't be automated. We create things and do things in such a way that just sucks the human right out of it. So today's topic, the topic that we're going to be discussing, is networking. I really want to bring it back to basics, and I'm pretty sure I've gathered the right group of people to actually have this conversation, because we've been networking together for quite some time. So these are the right people, and it's an absolute pleasure to actually bring right viewpoints to the forefront. How can we simplify this space? How can we simplify networking? What is networking actually all about? Why do we do it in the first place? These are questions that we need to answer, and I think if we have the answers to these questions, we can simplify networking, and we can actually bring the human right back to where it should be. There is nothing worse than jumping into a space where you think you're interacting with a human and you get an automated response that doesn't quite fit the narrative. It kind of kills the mood. So yes, that's today's topic. I would love to find out, maybe from each and one of you, why do you network? And we can keep the regular thing of, if we've got something to add to the conversation, just put up your hand. But I would love to know from you guys, why do you network? Anyone? Mr. Levy, the man himself.
I was having one of my fellow networkers would put their hand up, but it's like, it reminds me, we were chatting the other day about, if you look at one of the great leaders, Nelson Mandela, he said he learned 2 lessons from his father about leadership. He says the first lesson was, when you have a meeting, always have it in a circle. When there's a meeting of leaders, okay, and very difficult to do that here on Zoom, but always have it in a circle. And then the one what just reminded me of now, he said, and as a good leader, and he was a tribal chief, is always speak last. And I thought about this, and I thought, wow, can you imagine having a great group of leaders, and each one of them is going to live by that maxim of speaking last? You're going to sit in silence for quite a long time. And that actually, I was thinking, I'm not going to put my hand up, but then okay, I better, because we're all waiting for each other. And it just reminded me of that. So yeah, Pete, I think what you said is right. It's back to basics, but not just for networking. I think for everything, because we caught up. Yeah. We caught up in a world of technology, which it's a good thing. Technology has its place in the world, and it's allowed us to do things quicker and become more efficient and that. But I think sometimes we let ourselves get consumed by that. And it's about using it for what it is, but not to lose, exactly as you said, the human touch. And for me, it's networking. Why do we network, you ask? So I think primarily we network to build our businesses, or it's a platform or a channel to another channel to build our businesses. But it's the same as saying to somebody, but why are you in business? You know, and they answer you to make money. Well, every business is there to make money, otherwise you shouldn't be in business. My question is, how are we going to make money? We need to connect. We need to build relationships. We need to connect with people, and then connect with the right people. And it's no different in networking. Networking is very much about people. And I think a lot of the mistakes that we probably all guilty of having made once at some time or other in our lives, where networking is stepping into the networking session or into a networking group with the end in mind and focusing on that and say, I'm here to build my business. No, you're actually here to build relationships, your visibility and your credibility, and then you will build your business. And I think it's what you brought up tonight is a great refresher for us all, is just that reminder, go back to basics, build relationships, build your visibility with people in the network, and the rest, don't force it. Because it's exactly what you said, it's not a process. You know, business, well, no matter what business you're in, it can even be a tech business, it's a living entity made up of people. And we shouldn't lose sight of the people part of it, which sometimes we do unintentionally. So yeah, I think networking for me is beyond just doing business. It's about meeting new people. I myself personally learned so much from having the privilege of belonging to networking groups, where doesn't necessarily generate the business that it maybe could, but for me it's beyond it. I learned so much from people on a networking group. I look forward to hearing everybody else's views, and we just learn from each other. So for me, it's a great learning platform. And the other thing that I must point out is that I think we make a big mistake where we follow processes or protocol, is we go into a networking platform or a networking group trying to sell. And we should not go and try and sell our business. And I think it's exactly what Explore ProTech says, is coffee first, business later. I think that maxim could relate to every single networking group. It's very powerful.
I love that. Sorry, Mr. Levy. And
sorry, and I'm Stephen from Dare to Be Coaching and Beyond, and I coach leaders globally.
Awesome. You know, I think that was one of the founding phrases of this space, was coffee first, business later. It's been something that has just stuck in this space for a long time. It's something that gets repeated not only from me to others, but from others to each other. I think, and it's very important. And maybe we could relate that to every other aspect of business where networking is the focus and the business that is done is the byproduct. It's the business done in networking is just a byproduct of the relationships you build. And I think building the right relationships is key. It doesn't mean you need to go out and meet everyone. You can be strategic about it, but you also need to be authentic about it. So yeah, Lesetja, I would love to hear what you have to add to this conversation.
Well, between you and Mr. Levy, you've summed up the whole thing. So I don't know if we still have the next half an hour or so of what the basics of networking are. But for me, in my line of work, meeting new people just opens up a whole lot of new avenues. It's never about going to a person because you want to sell. It's never about going to a person because you want to benefit from them. It's never about going to a person because you want to use them for something later. It's about going to a person, getting to know the person, wanting to know the person, understand the person's business, and then from there, for me, it'll be like, and I think for Explore ProTech, it'll be, okay, so you are doing this. How can I jump in and help you in what you are doing? It's never about me, and it's never gonna be about me. Yes, as you're saying, Peter, the rest, the business that's gonna be done later will just be a byproduct. Because if somebody sees that I've got their interest at heart, their business interest at heart, and even if I'm not a specialist in their business, but I can connect them with somebody else, then I've added value to that person's business, to that person's life. And that's how you network. It's about the person, it's about the heart, it's about the mind. It's about, why am I here? What's my purpose in your life? Why do I have to connect with you? And I mean, there are various platforms of connecting, and I realize a whole lot of people that connect, especially on LinkedIn, want to sell you something or want you to join a group for a certain benefit for their company, which I always decline. I don't want to go into a networking group for them to sell me something. We need to know each other first. We need to get used to knowing what we're doing and go in with an open mind and not go in with the target of, I want to sell, I want to get this, I want to get that. It should be an open-minded conversation, especially the very first one or two conversations should be open-minded. Because when you go in, I say to people that I connect on LinkedIn, when I and I never read the profile, I never read about the business. I want the person to tell me what their business is. And for me, that's a proper way of getting introduced to that person's business. And then ideas start flowing. Then you connect with a person to the heart. And I think quoting Nelson Mandela as well, if you want to speak to a person, I think I may be flaunting it, but if you want to speak to a person, speak to them, to a person's heart, speak to them in their own language. So if I speak to you about your business and what you are doing and showing my interest in your business, I'm talking to your heart, I'm talking to your mind, and the connection just happens. Thanks, Peter. And this is Lesetja Moko, working for Radio Pulpit as their business development. For those that want to advertise their businesses, I'm here for you. On the other hand, business development for Femtrepreneur Project. Adios.
Oh, I love that. It kind of reminds me of the difference between a networking space and a community. I think within a community, everybody has a role, but community can only progress if everybody knows what everybody else's role is, where everybody fits. And I think when new people come into a space, being invited in a very human way. I mean, if we look at the basics of manners, when you meet somebody for the first time, hi, how are you? It's not a rhetorical question. It's a hi, how are you? And the person can respond by going, hi, either I'm doing really well, or hey, I'm not really doing so great. Um, it boils down to basic manners, how people interact and how they speak to each other. And if we look at the processes that have been put in place, have taken that humanness out of how we speak to each other and interact. And there's no more hi, how are you? It's just, here's my product, buy this. Or I've got what you need to purchase this. Or purchase this, it will solve a problem that I don't even know what your problem actually is. We've lost that touch of being able to connect with somebody and go, who are you? Show yourself to me. Let me get to know you. Let me allow you to get to know me, because I am my business and you are your business. It doesn't function and operate itself. It takes people, and people need to get to know each other. It's how we develop trusted connections, because we actually know them, not because we trust what they do. You can't just meet somebody and go, oh, you do that, I trust you. That's not very smart business. I think if anybody could actually comment, especially if we need coming towards the human aspect, towards the heart of it, I think if anybody could actually comment on this, Rita, I know you've got some bombs to drop.
Thanks, Peter. I actually want to start off with Albert Einstein's quote where he said, you cannot solve a problem with the same consciousness, mind that created it. Just there. What is the basic of networking? And from my perspective, it is really relationship building. But it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that sometimes it's very difficult to accept that it takes two to tango. Because I think it's just human nature that, we all, especially in a networking environment like this, and in the others, we all are looking for business, right? So it becomes sometimes a very needy situation. And when that happens, it can create the wrong impression, or it transfers the wrong energy over, if I can put it that way around. So you need to be very careful in that situation. What am I transferring over? Yes, I might be needy. I need help. I need, people to help me out here. But what am I really transferring? What crucial need do I really energy do I transfer over here? So it's really, and if that energy that I'm transferring is an energy of entitlement, then surely I've got it wrong. Entitlement of business, then for sure I've got it wrong, because that's not what networking is. It's building a relationship in a secure environment where there's compassion and empathy between all the role players that's out there. So, but I also want to say there's the other side of the coin, and I think that's also important, that when I do network, and when I say this, I really say it with huge respect. I need to serve me as well. Okay,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
with huge respect to it. That does not come from an egoistic viewpoint. That just comes, it's my business. I need to make this work, and I need to find the channels and the doors and try to open the doors to serve me, but I also need to be so aware of, can I put it, the pond that I'm swimming in. Can I share this story? And I'm going to read it for you guys. It was amazing. It's a very old ancient story. I don't know who wrote it. A tadpole is swimming in a pond. All of a sudden, a frog appears in the water. Where did you come from? The tadpole inquires. Somewhere dry, replies the frog. What is dry? The tadpole asks. It is when there's no water, says the frog. What is water? The frog is speechless. Empathetically gesturing at the abundant substance surrounding the tadpole, he asks, water? You mean you can't see it? But how can you not see it? It's all around you. And when I'm saying, serve me, I need to understand the pond that I'm swimming in. What is available for me? I really need to be so self-aware of what is going on. Otherwise, it's probably going to work to the concept of entitlement. Thank you. It's Rita Skuman, Coaching with Heart.
Rita, I like that. The thought process of being self-aware, but not only self-aware, but aware of others. I think if we practice that as humans, and yes, you are 100% correct. We do run our own businesses, and we do have to make choices and decisions that are best for our businesses. And if we look at networking and we take it right back to basics, I personally think exercising the basics of networking, the do's and don'ts, the how to treat people, the how to be authentic, the how to meet people where they're at, is just way more beneficial in serving the purposes of your business than ignoring who they are, pushing for the business. I mean, we all know people that come into your space and they push business, and not only do you not want to do business with them, but you would not refer them to anyone else either, because it was just too pushy, or it was just too just not authentic. It was just too generated or too process orientated, and the humanist was sucked right out of it. Whereas somebody that approached me from a very human perspective, they're trying to do business with me. They're approaching me as a human, from one human to another. Even if I was not going to do business with that person, I would probably know 5 people that that person could do business with, and that I would actually refer, because the interaction was just human, and you can trust something about that kind of interaction. So I think bringing everything back to basics. Yes, you can actually utilize the basics to benefit your own space. You just have to be authentic about it. I think that's that's what I love about our space, is we've actually surrounded ourselves. We've been very careful to surround ourselves with authentic people. Even when we reach out to people and we're looking for people to come and join the space, we are looking for fun, authentic, caring, ability to learn, ability to teach. I think the more we surround ourselves with those people, more powerful a space becomes. off the top of our heads, in this particular networking space, and I'm not saying that this is the be all and end all of networking spaces, there are other amazing networking groups out there. They all have different purposes and different functions. They work for different things. They all focus in a different area or run their space in a different way. Their goal is much the same. And we have a goal in this space. Our goal is to get 500 of the world's most authentic, caring, entrepreneurs in one space so that we can all benefit each other. We have to utilize the basics. Otherwise, it's not authentic. Who in this space has an example of a very cold approach from somebody in the networking space? Anybody had a really bad experience with somebody trying to just push a sale or push business or ignore the basics, ignore the person, ignore the human? I know I've had a few recently. Has anybody else had one?
I can share one.
Oh yes, please.
It also came through LinkedIn. I think it was a guy in East Europe. I can't remember now exactly. I think originally from the Ukraine, but it doesn't matter. And it's really around doing the work for you in LinkedIn. So I had my first conversation with him, and he tried to be very direct. And as the conversation went on, I started asking questions. Then he got quieter and quieter. So our time ran out. We had a second conversation. And again, he tried to jump in to close the deal. And I said to him, there's no deal to be closed here. And he actually got very, very, I don't want to say rude, very angry. You could see he just shuts off totally.
Wow, that's an interesting one. I think I'm not too sure whether my situation would win or not. Let's hear from Lesetra first, and we'll see whose situation was worst.
No, I don't think mine is worse. I think it's a general thing that I've been finding, especially from Facebook, where somebody will inbox you and say to you, "Hi, this person, I come from Pretoria, but I now stay in the UK, for instance." Okay, and then as soon as you respond to them, it's going to be like straight into the trading business, the online trading. I know personally I don't like it, and I kind of get irritated by people that just push that. So as soon as I see a person coming through to me saying, "Hi, I am this person. I used to stay in Joburg, Pretoria, wherever, and now staying wherever." If you look at their profiles, they show off these massive luxury cars and houses, and you know immediately that's online trading. So for them, it's not about getting to know you. It's not about them helping you. And I think if they came with another approach, maybe I would like trading. But the way they want to push you into a corner, and they'll even say to you, "Don't worry about money. We can even start you off." And like, so if you can start me off, just give me the money. Don't push me, just give me the money, you know. So for me, and I think it's been happening quite a lot. So I've now even found a way of establishing if this going the right way or not. One, it'll be a person with one, what do they call it? One mutual connection. And if you look into their profile, you see the background, it's like, this is rich. I immediately just go, sorry, block. I don't even respond.
Yeah. They said you're not alone there. We all get those. And I think 90% of them are scams, which is why it's so pushy. So those are definitely best to be avoided. I think I actually had a conversation with somebody that was trying to convince me to get into online trading. They kept mentioning figures like this amount of money. And I was like, and I kept responding by saying, why so little? I have a team that manages my portfolio. Why do you want to mess around with such small change? Why don't we make it this? Okay, so I was playing games. I was having some fun. But I wasted their time for about an hour, which was great because it was an hour less that I had to talk with somebody else.
It's
I thought it was fun.
actually quite fun. It's actually quite
Levy.
fun to have a conversation like that with people like that. It's fun.
I love it. Mr. Levy, let's drag you back into this conversation.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. You know, you have, when you network with people, often they'll ask you, they say, oh, what do you do? And then you tell them as quickly as possible, and they go, oh, and then they spend the next 45 minutes talking about them. And so they're not really interested. It was just, I suppose, something they'll ask you, because they don't ask further, or maybe they're just not interested. But I had an experience, and this was an introduction through someone on LinkedIn, and we got onto Zoom, and that exact scenario happened. He said to me, what do you do? And I told him, and then proceeded to tell me what he does and how fantastic he is at it. So I did listen for about 45 minutes. And then when we ended the conversation, I got a message on my private messaging in LinkedIn 3 days later to ask if I'd give him a reference. You know, when you ask for your recommendation, when I said, I don't even know you. How can I give you a recommendation? But I thought, who does that? How can you ask somebody for a recommendation after a 45-minute conversation? I haven't even experienced his services. He told me how fantastic he is and what he does well. But that's it. So we ceased the relationship right there. But it's amazing. I think you can pick it up if people are genuinely interested in you. Same, I think, Lisette, or you were saying, you know, when you ask somebody, how are you? Ask them like you mean it. And when they answer you, maybe answer them back on it. So if I say to Pete, how are you? So fine, and then we just chat. And I'm like kind of speaking to you before you even got on fired out. So they don't really want to know how you are. And there is a way to really ask if you really mean what you're saying, you know, like, how are you? How's it going with you? So I think that's also something that one needs in networking. And then, if I may, just something that you said that I made a note of earlier, which is, I think we ask each other, you know, what do we do? How do we do it? But you said something earlier that I wrote down, was who are you? And I wonder if we asked people in a networking group, who are you? Who would be able to answer that?
Probably Rita.
Yeah.
Not me. I can answer that.
But it's a very interesting question to ask.
Yeah.
Are we able to answer that?
Yeah, I think it would be a really good question to ask, actually. I think I'm going to ask it later.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. In the group chat, I'm going to drop the question. I think I'll get to see how many strange answers we can get. So I see a bit of a pattern where people, minus the human interaction, are really desperate to do business, and so desperate that they are not able to mind their manners. Not that they don't care, don't get me wrong, because it might just be the way they do business, but they're missing the point where care is given. and they're expecting business in return, and nobody really wants to do business in a space like that. And the more people don't want to do business, the harder they push with that way of thinking that it's going to change. I have news for you. It's not. It's not going to change. You're just going to do the same, just on a bigger scale. I think this is where I like to actually break mindsets, and the pattern of not utilizing the basics and not understanding that we're dealing with people and their lives. Real people have real lives, living, breathing, fully functioning people that have lives, hopes, dreams, things they want to achieve, goals, and we diminish them down to, hey, are you doing business with me? And we completely miss all of that magic that person is all about. If we actually understood who they are, what are their dreams, what are their hopes, how are they getting there, who are they building relationships with, how can we add value to their relationship pool by introducing them to somebody that might become part of making their dreams come true. Whether we do business together or not is irrelevant, because the business is just a byproduct. Money is a thing that can be made as a byproduct if you follow the basics. Treat people like humans. It's not very difficult. Let's go back around again. Who has had a really positive experience? I know that Brian introduced me to a really amazing person that booked a session with me, and we were supposed to speak for an hour, and we ended up speaking for a whole lot longer. I remember looking at my calendar afterwards and going, ooh, we've had a conversation way past our meeting. But who's had positive experiences of when they've met somebody for the first time, and their experience was such that they actually have developed more and actually done business? Anybody have a positive experience? Lesetra. It's a race for the hands. Everybody's
No,
looking. Where's my hands?
I think it was Joanne first. She raised her hand, not the electronic one. So maybe she
Oh,
should go first. We should go ladies first, right?
awesome.
Thank you. Well, for me, I had one lady that I met through networking, and it was, she reached out to me, and it was genuinely just to, get to know me, getting to know each other, building the relationship, genuine conversation, with no ulterior motive on there. And since then, we have had multiple conversations since. I would consider her a good friend of mine now. And on the backside, she has used my service a couple times, and very happily refers me on to anyone that she can think of. And likewise, I've done the same for her. So it is very much about, building the relationships. It's you're building a support ecosystem for yourself, without any ulterior motive in the background, because being in business can be challenging. We all know that. So you need people in the background that will support you, root you on, and vice versa.
Oh, goodness me, yes. And Joanna, it's your first time speaking in the background. Just who you are, where you're from, and the name of your business.
Well, I'm Joanne. Joanne Morehouse Photography. I'm based in the UK. I bring your business into focus using virtual photography. So I work with people around the world.
Oh, I like the play of words. Having worked in the photographic industry before, bringing your business into focus. I like that. I like that a lot. Sasha, what was your experience, your positive experience?
Look, I was referred to Explore ProTech by Natasha, and I'm enjoying the space that I'm in at the moment. Everybody that's in this space has just been so supportive, and it doesn't matter whether I've set up a meeting and kind of in the hindsight forgot what we're going to speak about or who the person does. We just get to click. So the referral from Natasha is actually very, very valuable to my life, even at work now. I mean, Peter, you know, I can just buzz you and cry on your lap or your shoulder or your head. I don't know where it is this time because it's been so many times. Rita, when we did the business seminar last year, she came in and offered herself. We had Dr. Mayer, we had Linda Dent, we had Jenny Lingenfelder, who people that just came in and said, well, who will help you? And where do you find that? Where do you find people that'll just offer themselves and not looking at what am I going to benefit hereafter? Because for them, there was no benefit. And the very first people that I spoke to in Explore ProTech, well, after Nestene and Peter, I think it was you, Mr. Lee. And I mean, what an amazing chat we had. And no, you always said to me, I should call you Stephen, which I think I refused to do. I'll still call you Mr. Levy. That's how I was introduced, and I'll call you that. But the conversation was so frank that I got to know the man behind the man, and he got to know me, who I am, and my background, which is absolutely awesome. So I've had this positive experience from Explore ProTech, all the coaches and all the members that I've had engagements with. And yes, thank you for that, Peter. And Nestene in absentia.
Oh man, that's incredible. I think sometimes we have to break a space in order to fix it. Sometimes we as society, we tend to do that. We tend to take something, overcomplicate it, turn it into complicated processes, when the reality is that it's really a simple space. And if we can actually go back to the simplicity of how do we treat humans like humans when we're networking? Yes, that human comes with a business attached, but the person themselves is a representative of that business. We need to get to know the person. And if we can actually get that right, that's when we start building trust. We start building a space where, if I say to Lesecha, he comes to me and he goes, "Oh, Peter, I've got this problem," and I go, "Well, actually, I think I've got the right person you need to speak to. This is more of the very business decision orientated problem. I think you need to go speak to Mr. Levy." I'm saying that because I know Mr. Levy. I trust Mr. Levy because we've built a relationship over a period of time where we've actually gotten to know each other. Whereas if he comes to me and he says, "Oh my goodness me, I've got this event coming up and my arm is not long enough to take a photograph of myself and get the right angle," I'm going to be like, "Well, you have to go and speak to Joanne because I know Joanne and I trust Joanne. And I also know what the results are going to be because we've experienced that space." So whether it comes to me and he goes, "I've got something that I can't get my thinking straight and I need to," you just got to go speak to Rita. The more we know each other, the more powerful we become. It's like having an army and you go, "I don't know who my specialists are. So I'm just going to send in all the troops in random, just random. And let's see if we can win this war. I'll randomly, I don't know if they need tanks, but I'll send them. I don't know if they need infantry, or if they need snipers, or if they need, we're just going to throw everything we've got. And I think that's the problem. We are throwing everything we've got, except the basics. And we need to get right back to it, right back to the basics. Start from ground zero and actually build from there, because I think if a lot of spaces realize this, I think even their hiring process as to who they would actually hire in would be so much different. Who do we surround ourselves with? Why do we surround ourselves with them? What is the purpose of a space? What is the purpose of relationships in a space? Now, and I think for me, if I had to go back to what was my worst networking moment, my worst networking moment was listening to a networker tell me how doing a joint venture with somebody else that was beneficial to their business, when that person they would normally never speak to. They would never normally, on a normal day, give that person the time of day. But because it's beneficial to them, they'll use them. And to me, that was like, oh my, that's so sad. That is just so sad. You haven't taken the time to actually get to know that person. And then if I go to one of my favorites, I think one of my favorite sessions was, there's so many. We've had a lot. We've had a lot of sessions where you meet somebody for the first time and they're like, tell me all about yourself. And I'm like, oh no, but that's my job. It's my job to ask you. Oh, we're stuck. Who's going to go first? And then the conversation just flows. The more you figure out about each other, the more brilliant the meeting becomes. And towards the end of the meeting, you realized, oh, but we've discussed no business. Oh, we should quickly just, well, how about we just set up another meeting? Because we want to, not because we didn't get to the part to sell, but because we actually want a meeting. So I've actually had this on my mind for quite a while. It's the basics of what we've created in this space. If anybody's got any last words to add, I would love to just fit you in just before we bring it to a close. We are going to have no power in a few minutes, so I think we would like to end before we have no power. Would be absolutely brilliant. So, but if it just goes dark, well then I apologize. We have that problem in South Africa. Anybody, any last words on this particular topic?
Yeah, I think if you go into networking, go into networking, and without trying to do business with the people in the network, and get a bit more curious about each other and see what comes out of that, because generally your business will come, and I've experienced this, not with the people in the network, but you don't know who they know, but they won't refer you until they trust you, because you used that word several times this evening. And trust is not built over one cup of coffee. So yeah, I'd like to leave with something is in networking is become more curious. Curious is where that comes from. You need to get more curious about each other.
I like that. Okay, I think that those are some powerful words to actually end off this session. Get curious about each other, spend some time getting to know people, take them into account, make people feel important. It's not difficult to do. It'll make somebody's day. It might even save their day. Take the time to listen to who they are. It makes people feel special. People need to feel special. Build an authentic space. This is something Rita will know all about. Coaching with heart. Let's go back to the beginning. Go back to the original heart of what this was supposed to be. Let's get it right. I'm tired of seeing spaces get it so wrong. It's all the business and it's got nothing to do with people. Yet it's networking. It's got nothing to do with people. We need to take it back. We need to take it back. We need to own that space as people and take it back and build it the way it was supposed to be built. Let's have fun with it. What's life if you can't have a little bit of fun? Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fantastic session. You guys have all been absolutely wonderful. I'm going to bring this session to a close. So, ladies and gentlemen, on the Facebook and YouTube, I'm going to drop the links into the description of the lovely people we've been chatting with today. We have a vague idea of what they do, but we know that they're absolutely incredible humans. So if something that somebody said has resonates with you, the link will be in the description. Reach out and actually have a conversation. Let them figure out who you are. Get the opportunity to figure out who they are. And who knows, maybe some business can become a byproduct. You never know. Ladies and gentlemen, have fun. We'll catch you same time, same place at least. Catch you on the flip side.